Hey, it's MK, and I am scrapping on a ship again, and today I am inspired by Shannon Keith, who is Creative Chaos in Tennessee here on YouTube. So I have decided to try out one of these ticket collage embellishments that Shannon has created, and she does have a video over on her channel if you'd like to check it out. It's her very first video, which I thought she did great on, and I actually had a die. This is uber old from Tim Holtz. I'm going to see if it works in my machine, but I'm going to try to get 2 tickets out of it. So I've got this Sea of Textures clear mount stamp from Stampin' Up. Now, I got rid of the sayings a long time ago because I'm not a card maker. They don't make sense to me, and it doesn't make sense to me to just hang on to them. I also have combined a lot of other stamps that are close to my heart, as well as Stampin' Up combined, and I've put them all together just to make one stamp set, but I got rid of all the other stamps in the set that I had no intention of using. So at first I thought that I had 2 of those lighthouses. That's why I have a masking for one and not the other, but I don't know where the other lighthouse is, and it must have been on one of those sets that I opted not to get or keep. It looks to me like what I used to do was combine the scene portion of the smaller lighthouse and mix it with the taller lighthouse, but of course, I got rid of it or something because I couldn't find it. So I'm going to go to my die cut machine and try to see if this works. Hey, it did. Now I did have to remove the normal plates that I use for my thin cut dies because this is technically a thin cut die, but it also comes with like a plastic backer to it. So I didn't think that I needed the other plates to help mount it up because that plastic backer does the work for me. So I left this video in real time, the whole shebang, because it was only 17 minutes long, and then when I cut it down, it was only 15 minutes long. So I was like, hey, maybe they want to see me scrap in real time, and look at how slow I am. Look, the video does me justice. I'm just saying. I really am this slow, you guys, because I hate to say it, but I'm a perfectionist, even though I don't want to be. So I really try my hardest to leave it like it is. That's a really cool song too, by the way. If you don't know it, I will link the song down there if I can, because it is a super cool song. And I think it's called Leave It Like It Is. Or maybe it's Turpentine. That could be why I like it too. Anyways, it's by David Wilcox. Really good song. And it's one of my favorites, and it's probably only like 3 minutes long. It stinks. I love it. So anyways, I have my 2 dies. Now they are skinnier than Shannon's. Shannon did have a little bit thicker, but she also pre-made her tickets, and she shows you how in a very super fast way as well. But I wanted to give my ticket die a chance to resurrect itself and see if it's worth keeping. That is another thing that I am doing in my craft room, is seeing whether or not things are worth keeping. That is one of the things that I have been thinking about forever, in all honesty. Now here I am debating, do I want my tickets to go long ways or do I want them to go tall ways? And did I even want the lighthouse? I'm thinking I don't want the lighthouse. So now I'm trying to figure out how to get the scene on here without having the lighthouse. And of course, the original, what are those called? I have no idea what those are even called. Stamp blocks that I picked out aren't big enough for the 2 main stamps that I really wanted to stamp with. So I will have to pull out another stamp. Another thing as well is that, I debated having my tickets go up and down or left and right. I wasn't really sure, and then I opted just to do them all left and right. So first things first, I'm going to stamp this really cool scene down. I loved this stamp set back in the day. I used to color it with my markers, and then that way it was all pre-colored. I had greenery and blue ocean and all that good stuff, and then colored in the lighthouse, which again, this was not the lighthouse that I used. I stamped a different lighthouse on top using my masking, so that way that lighthouse didn't have a scene around it, and then I was able to put a scene around it by using the mask. So I don't know, I'll probably still have to look and see if I got rid of it or not, but I also loved this this fence, so I'm going to try to incorporate that somehow, but it's got sand and some things in it, so I'm going to put it down low enough to where you don't see all that and you just get the fence. And I am using walnut stain but I will be bringing in pumice stone in a few when I realize I don't want brown birds. Yep. So I do end up using a mixture of pumice stone and walnut stain. And then, of course, second generation and third generations. So that way I don't end up having everything so dark that it all just blends in. One of the things that Shannon explains to you guys in her video is that you get the different depths by doing the first generation, which is straight on stamping, right? You dip it in your ink and you stamp. Second generation is when you stamp again without re-inking. And third generation is when you stamp again without re-inking. So one of the companies, Stampin' Up! Close to my heart, I don't remember, came up with the generations name for it. Or another one of the companies, which I can't remember, close to my heart or Stampin' Up!, they call it stamp off stamping. So it's you stamp off once and then you stamp, and that lightens up and gives you another color that you might not have had in your ink set, right? So that's what I'm doing. Here I'm not stamping off. I am stamping solid with pumice stone, and it's giving me a nice grayish for my birds. Now I didn't want exactly gray birds, so I went with pumice stone, knowing that it was a little bit on the browny side, but I still got the color I was looking for, right? So I'm going to go ahead and stamp. And like I said, I am really this slow, and I did not want to speed it up any at all for you guys. So I'm also doing my clouds in pumice stone as well. And I don't do a whole lot of clouds because I've kind of got a scene going on. I was going to do a cloud down below, and then I thought, oh, I don't want a cloud possibly in the sand, right? So I opted not to. I just went ahead and did my thing in the sky, and I'm building a scene, but yet it doesn't make any sense, right? Because I've got birds down below too, and making it make sense is not what it's supposed to be about. But like I said, I have a hard time trying to force myself to leave it as it is, let it go, right? So here's where I'm stamping off. In fact, I stamped twice and then realized, oh, I didn't want to stamp off twice. I only wanted to stamp off once. And this one is from my Sea of Textures. And I really do like it because it's a honeycomb, but it's a distressed honeycomb. So you really can't see the honeycomb image, but you can. And when you stamp it as a background, like second generation, it looks so good. It is the amazing perfect mixed media stamp. But my thing is do I want to take my stamps and separate it so much to where this stamp ends up in my mixed media, or do I want to keep it with my Sea of Textures? I don't know the answer to that, but my brain somehow needs to remember that I have this super cool stamp. I really do. But I never will, you guys. It is just one of those revolving things that I have no clue whether or not this is going to happen. Of mixing up my stamps. I tried it. I'm still in the process of trying it. I've mixed up my flowers. I've mixed up all of my ocean themes. But am I going to go as far as dissecting the ocean theme to where it's not together, right? Like I'm going to take it and put some of this over here and some of this over there. I don't know. Again, I can't let go. So for this net, I'm almost like using my glass mat as my stamp pad. So I'll ink my stamp up and then stamp it multiple times in that same spot to try to get a different texture. So you can see where some of my stamp is solid and some of my stamp is not. So I get a good blending. This one I almost put on a block, and then I realized I don't want all those like straight on. So I'm going to curve it slightly. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, and only get certain bits of it, right? I don't want the whole thing. So I've got it slightly curved in my hand, or concaved, and then I'm just going through and pushing on it in certain spots with my 3 fingers, 2 from one hand and 1 from another hand. And then I'm going to fill in some gaps using a little bit of whatever ink was left on there where I felt like it needed something. So that was my stamping initially. I love the collage-y look. I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges now. I don't know what order Shannon did all of hers in. I can't remember. But I'm going to ink the edges. And at first I was going to ink in brown, and then I thought, no, I want it a little lighter. So I'm going to ink in pumice stone and slightly ink the edges. And then once I'm done, I'm going to bend the papers and ink in between as well. So that way it looks like the inking was done all the way around each ticket individual. Do I keep calling it a stamp? I'm sorry if I keep calling it a stamp. But yes, I want to make sure that it is inked all the way around. Now these, again, I apologize. I do not have close-up pictures of these, but I did remember to hold them up for you so you could look at all the little details, unlike yesterday's embellishments. But I was so excited to finish up both of these embellishments that both of these embellishments make an appearance on the next page that I do for tomorrow. I promise it. I just was so excited to make these embellishments, and then I had the perfect page coming up next to put them on. Oh my gosh, it could not have been planned out any better. And trust me, guys, there's no planning in what I do. Never, ever, ever, ever. I barely even plan to edit my videos and voice over my videos. There's just no planning, you guys. I could have definitely pulled out, I have another set of ocean animals, and I definitely could have pulled out those sets as well. However, I feel like that would have led me towards more of an aquarium or a zoo rather than what we did on our cruise. You're not going to swim with the sea turtles, right? When you go snorkeling and things like that. So I definitely felt like this was, more towards what I was going for rather than the sea turtles and making it a little bit more cutesy and whatnot. I have sea turtles, seahorses, crabs, and octopi for my stamps as far as that goes. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of blending. This is what Shannon does as well when she goes to bring in some color in her flowers. She doesn't want to color all of it and take away from her main element, which I believe were mice on her video. So she didn't want to take away from all of it, but I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to give my clouds a little bit of color. I wanted to give my ocean a little bit of color, but it wasn't working the way I expected it to. And I don't realize that until I start giving my birds a little bit of color. So I'm taking whatever's on my ink pad or whatever's on my blending tools, and I'm blending them in. So I'm going to put a little bit of color over the birds, a little bit of color over the clouds, and the clouds were a little bit too much. So I'm trying to dull them down by using my gray blending tool, whatever color's on it. I think it's either hickory or pumice stone. I don't remember. But then I realized something else is missing. So I'm actually going to go grab a marker and add some color using my markers. So I will be right back with a color. So this one here is Old Olive from Stampin' Up. It's a Stampin' Up blending tool. I love this because you get to choose between light and dark. This one is the dark. And I'm just going to color in all of these leaves and things or grass. I don't know. What are they called? Grass spears? Are they called spears? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to fill them in, and then I'm going to fill in a little bit more around the fence to make it look like that fence was purposely put there, and that is the bottom of the fence, even though it wasn't. It's okay. I do see a little bit, that's where I'm going for, is a little bit of the grass sticking out. So that's where I decided to stick mine as well. And then I'm going to bring in, this one is called Pool Party, and I picked the lighter of the two, and I'm going to outline my cloud and do all the little stamping outlines just briefly with this, as well as my water wave to give it a little bit of intention of why I put blue down here, so people know that that was water, or at least I know that it was water, and I like it a lot better. It does contain the coloring of the blending tool that I brought in. It doesn't look like it was an afterthought. And so I'm much, much happier with adding these little colors in. I just absolutely love it. I was debating whether or not I needed to do the birds, but I don't think I do. I really don't. I am super happy with how these turned out. So happy that, like I said, they instantly went on a layout. to the point where I didn't even take pictures for you guys. So Shannon, I want to say thank you so much for your inspiration and the creativity of putting your first video together. I was super impressed, super happy with how far you've come as well. So thank you so much. Don't forget to check out the links that I have down below. I have a link for Shannon's video, not video, but her channel. I have a link for the May I Scraplift You YouTube list. Yes, the playlist. And then the link down below for Janet's channel, because she is scrapping on a ship with me all month long. So again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will check y'all later. Bye.